Good evening, guys. Welcome back. We are continuing our story with two dogs in a trench coat go to school. I'm Tada, and I know it's been a while since we last sat down to listen to a book, but we're back now. We had just gone to a great camping trip, and now we're all refreshed and ready to get back to it. So, we're continuing on with chapter 16, and I'm really enjoying this book. And after this book, we'll go back to a little bit of Peter Rabbit, and then we'll see what next book is in store for us. So, let's continue on. Chapter 16. Miss Tuhey stood in front of the class, beaming. Students, I am so looking forward to tomorrow, the big day when you all bring in your marvelous, thorough, and well-researched projects, along with, of course, your information sheets. I cannot wait to see all that you have put together. I created a hybrid wheat plant that can sustain severe drought and flooding, said a girl. I discovered a new species of butterfly, said a boy. I built an isotope, said a girl. Me too, said another boy. My project is so great, said Bax. It's better than all of yours. What'd you do, Stuart? Whatever you did, it's not as cool as mine. It's a secret, said Stuart. I want everyone to be surprised. Whatever, said Bax. Mine's still better. That night after dinner, Stuart paced his room. Waldo paced too, while Sassy sat on the bed trying to stay awake. So all you need to do is discover wheat to create your own form of government or build something impossible, said Waldo. That's too much, said Sassy. We need to figure out what you already have and just make your project. She looked around. Like, your project could be not putting away your laundry or being the best at giving belly rubs. I wish we could do a project, said Waldo. What would yours be about? Asked Stuart. I don't know. Squirrels, probably. Squirrels would be a fun project, Sassy agreed. The hard part would be narrowing it down, said Waldo. I could do 50 different squirrel projects. I'd like to do a project about how we keep all the squirrels out of the yard, said Sassy. And out of the house, said Waldo. As soon as the squirrel even thinks about us, it runs right up a tree. Yeah, it does, said Sassy. We're so fierce. I wonder what it's like to run straight up a tree like that, said Stuart. Claws, said Waldo. And fully articulated ankle joints, said Sassy. Really? Said Stuart. Of course, said Sassy. We're squirrel experts. We keep telling you that. Squirrels are mammals, said Waldo. They are omnivores, said Sassy. That means they eat everything. Squirrels use their tails to help them keep balance, said Waldo. They also use their tails as umbrellas and blankets, said Sassy. And most of all, they're terribly frightened of us, said Waldo. Also, said Sassy, one day all the squirrels will pack their bags and move to Squirrel Town. The squirrels will form their own government and elect a council of squirrel elders, said Waldo. Okay, I think you're including some unsubstantial dog lore now, said Stuart. Oh, it's all true, said Waldo. This is great, said Stuart. I don't have the information sheet, but I can talk about all these facts. Up until the Squirrel Town part. I think I need a visual aid, though. I wish I had a fake squirrel on a tree or something. I have a squirrel! I have a squirrel, said Sassy. I'll be right back. She ran out of Stuart's room and returned 1 minute later holding a dog-shaped toy like a squirrel. You've chewed on this a bit, said Stuart. Didn't it all have stuffing in it once? It's still squirrel-shaped, said Sassy. You can pretend to make it climb up the classroom walls. Son, Stuart's dad knocked on the doorframe. Your mother and I have bought you this artisanal tree stump bedside table. The lady at the shop assured us that all kids today love stump tables. She said something about how the youths enjoy a rustic sensibility. We got you one with the bark still attached because it matches your bedspread. Here you go. He put a large tree stump in the room and scurried away. Thanks, Dad, Stuart yelled down the hall. He turned to the dogs. Well, that was convenient. I better get to work if I'm going to start writing down squirrel facts. I've got a lot of work to do before tomorrow. Chapter 17. The dogs and Stuart stumbled sleepily to B. Arthur Memorial the next day. I know I always say this, said Sassy, but I could really use a nap. I feel okay, said Stuart, shouldering a gigantic tote bag with its project inside. Yesterday I didn't have a project, and now I have this tote bag with a tree stump in it. I never knew school would be all about tree stumps, said Waldo. I don't think it is, said Sassy. All I know is that I need a nap. The classroom was buzzing with excited students ready to show off their projects. There was a robot, a volcano, a lightning machine, and a handmade working cuckoo clock, a particular particle accelerator, and what appeared to be someone's baby brother. And every single one of them, except for Stuart's stump, had a properly filled out information sheet taped to it. Even the baby brother had one, even though it had a lot more drool on it. Hey Stu, what you got there, a log? Asked Bax. My project's so much better than yours. Where's your info sheet? It's here somewhere, said Stuart. Let me know if you see it. Seriously, where is it? Bax looked at Stuart's stump and then at Stuart. Stuart was mindlessly lifting up pencils and notebooks from his desktop like he was looking for the information sheet. Where'd you have it last? Asked Bax. Yeah, said Stuart. Oh, what? I don't know. You need to find it, said Bax. A lot. Hello, my good friend Bax, said Waldo. I'm looking forward to learning all about your project. Yeah, you are, said Bax. I hope it is about hot dogs. And then after that, we get free samples. Yeah, that's pretty far off base, said Bax. Is yours about hot dogs? I wish. I became a student. It's too late to do a project. Did you see Stuart's information sheet anywhere? Said Bax. It's totally gone. Maybe that human puppy ate it, said Waldo. Aga, said the baby. Don't blame the baby, said Bax. You humans have such interesting idioms, said Waldo. What do you mean, you humans? Asked Bax. That's just a thing we say in Liver, Ohio, said Waldo. Miss Tuhey clapped her hands to get everyone's attention. We have a lot to do today. We need to get through everyone's presentations. Let's get started. When it's your turn, come up to the front of the room and hand me your information sheet. You'll have 10 minutes to present your project. And so began a long, though fairly interesting day of the dogs, watching Stuart worried about when he'd be called on and how he'd explain his missing information sheet. They watched his classmates demonstrate the frog life cycle, the caterpillar life cycle, the woolly mammoth life cycle. They were fairly sure woolly mammoths did not emerge from cocoons, but it was an interesting presentation regardless. The minutes and presentations ticked on, and Stuart managed to hide behind his tree and avoid being called on. Okay, few things here. A mammoth coming from a cocoon? That is the most scariest thought I think I've ever had. Anyway. Okay, said Mrs. Tuhey. Today has been so educational. Except for the facts that some of you invented. But really, most educational. 2 more to go. Bax, Stuart, who wants to be next? Stuart made an involuntary whimpering noise. It's my turn now, said Bax authoritatively. Today I'd like to talk to you about velocity. What is velocity? What is space? What is time? What is acceleration? Back spent the next 30 minutes discussing the finer points of the physics of velocity, stopping often to pause dramatically. Everyone was so mesmerized, mainly because they'd never heard Bax talk for so long without making a joke. The dogs were mesmerized because their presentation centered around discussing the velocity of balls, and Bax threw a ball from one end of the room to the other no less than 70 times when he spoke. Bax kept looking at the clock and kept talking to Mrs. Tuhey, trying to stop him several times. But Bax told her he had more to say, and he wasn't going to stop until he was done. And that, said Bax finally, is all I know about velocity and balls, and how velocity relates to time and distance. And the bell rang. Bax bowed. The class applauded. Stuart, we'll have to do your project presentation tomorrow, said Mrs. Tuhey. I'm so sorry we weren't able to get to you today. It's okay, said Stuart. I will catch up with you in a little while, said Waldo, as Stuart was walking out of the room. I have to talk to Mrs. Tuhey now. Stuart looked suspicious, but he didn't say anything since Mrs. Tuhey was there staring at them. It's okay, said Waldo. I will see you at home later. What did you want to discuss? Asked Mrs. Tuhey. Do you want to discuss how the other schools are trying to spy on me? No, thank you, said Waldo. I would like to discuss information sheets. I would like to have one. I know I didn't have time to complete a project, but today was educational and inspiring, and information sheets looked so much fun. Remember when you said I wish I could fill out one? One out? I wish that too. Can I have one to fill out? Or two even? I love to fill out important forms of school. Really? Well, how can I turn that down? I love it when students want to do more work. Here you go. Mrs. Tuhey opened the drawer in her desk and handed Salty 2 information sheets. Thank you, said Waldo. You're the very best teacher, and I am learning so much. Oh, you, said Mrs. Tuhey. Chapter 18. We have saved the day, said Waldo as he and Sassy burst into Stuart's room. We are the winners! We are all good dogs! Waldo handed Stuart the information sheets. Sassy flopped on the rug and fell asleep immediately. Wait, where'd you find these? Said Stuart. Mrs. Tuhey gave it to us! She is the nicest! Stuart sharpened his pencil. After all this fuss, I'm going to use my neatest handwriting to fill this thing out. He took his time, writing carefully. After a while, he stopped writing and frowned. What is the matter? Said Waldo. It's filling out the information sheets not as fun as you thought it would be. It's just a bit more involved than I expected. What are the educational benchmarks addressed by your project? How will your presentation help your classmates become functional adults? On a scale of 1 to 10, how amazing a teacher is Mrs. Tuhey? 12, said Waldo. She is 12 amazing. Squirrels are so educational, said Sassy, yawning. And you will help your classmates become functional adults. How? Said Stuart. After seeing everyone's project today, it feels like my project might need a little bit more. Like maybe you should talk about how squirrels build a cocoon, and after 3 years they crack it open, and it's all acorns inside, said Waldo. That's not true at all, said Stuart. Sounds true to me, said Waldo. Point is, squirrels can't be trusted, said Sassy. You know what we're all experts in? Velocity! You should do something about velocity of squirrels, said Waldo. What, like throw a squirrel to see how far it goes, said Stuart. Yes! Both dogs yelled at once. You should definitely throw a squirrel, said Sassy. This is gonna be the greatest day of my life, said Waldo. Joy throwing a squirrel is something I never realized I needed until right this moment. I guess I could throw a squirrel-shaped dog toy, said Stuart, although I'm not sure how throwing a squirrel will be educational. It will be so educational, said Sassy. It will teach everyone how unpredictable squirrels are, said Waldo. You never know what's next with squirrels. Squirrels are chaos, said Mrs. Sassy. said Sassy. Also, I think it will work best if you throw a real live squirrel. First of all, no, said Stuart. Second of all, even if I was going to do that, how would I get a squirrel? You two have been trying to catch a squirrel for as long as I've known you, and you've never gotten close. Now just hold on 1 minute, said Waldo. We're not trying to catch one. Oh, really? Said Stuart. We're trying to clear the area, said Waldo, and we're doing such a good job. There are no squirrels in your room at all, said Sassy. That proves what a good job we're doing. If we wanted to catch a squirrel, we could do it. She stood up, suddenly excited. Do you? Do you want us to catch a squirrel? Catch one? We'll go out right now, and then you'll have to hold on to it till tomorrow. No, it's fine, said Stuart. I don't need a squirrel. Let me finish filling out the information sheet. The dog stared at Stuart while he did his best to answer the questions about the educational quality of a project he had just come up with the day before. They knew they were helping. It was always helpful to stare at humans during a difficult task. Stuart wrote. He sighed. He stared at the ceiling. He wrote some more. He looked at the dogs. He wrote some more. There's something bugging me, said Stuart. Squirrels, said Waldo. Squirrels are bugging you. They do that. No, it's not that. It's that I'm filling this out after everyone else already did their project. It's not your fault, said Sassy. You didn't have the information sheet until today. Well, that actually is my fault. I lost it, and now I'm filling out this one because you guys got me a new one. That's because we're the most helpful dogs ever, said Waldo. And we're total professionals. Right, but I think you've given me what is known as an unfair advantage. If I add more to my project, if I make it about squirrels' velocity, or purposely change everything to make it more like I have the best presentations today, then it's cheating. I have to stick with what I would have presented today. We were lucky that I was last and that Bax had so much to say. Bax really had a lot to say, said Waldo. He did, Sassy agreed. He talked for 3 times as long as everyone else, plus his presentation involved a lot of balls. So many balls, said Waldo. There were balls in that science project about colors, too, said Sassy. Why didn't you tell us there were so many balls in school? Said Waldo. I didn't want to make you feel bad about staying home, I guess, said Waldo. If you cannot add any more to your project, does that mean you will not fill out the information sheet either? Said Sassy. You didn't have that this morning. Oh, I'm totally filling this out. Filling this out isn't cheating since I had the information sheet once. I'm going to stick with my presentation about squirrel facts. It will still be educational. So educational, agreed Sassy. It's important that everyone knows the truth about squirrels. Make sure you talk about Squirrel Town, said Waldo, and tell them how the squirrels are plotting an overthrow of the humans. Tell them not to leave acorns, or walnuts outside, or tiny peanut butter sandwiches. I don't know if anyone leaves trays of tiny sandwiches outside, but if they did, it would definitely help the squirrels. Do humans do that? Do humans do that? Said Sassy. Humans should not do that. They should not build tiny, cozy squirrel huts high in the trees with tiny blankets and head-knit squirrel hats. She yawned. Oh, Sassy made me yawn. I don't know where you two are getting your information, said Stuart, but all of that is wrong, I think. I'm pretty sure. You can never be completely sure, said Waldo. The squirrels control everything. Before you know it, you'll be making them sandwiches and sewing them mittens. Remember this, said Sassy. Squirrels mean chaos. They're watching our every move, said Waldo. I'll be right back, said Stuart. He left the room and came back a few minutes later with the new rawhide bones. Chew on these for a while and forget about squirrels. You are thinking way too much about squirrels. Who said anything about squirrels? Said Waldo. Hand over the bones now, said Sassy. Please. Chapter 19. The dogs managed not to worry much about squirrels the next morning either. There weren't any squirrels in the backyard. No stealthy, crafty humans had left out tiny seed cakes or squirrel scarves, and Stuart was so happy and relaxed. He hummed a tune on his way to school. It is good we came to school and enrolled as a human, said Waldo. I like the part how we get a pile of meat for lunch every day, said Sassy. We never get to eat lunch before. Why didn't we get lunch? The humans eat every 9 minutes, and we only get breakfast and dinner. Sometimes you get cookies, said Stuart, for snacks. Snack cookies are good, said Waldo. Meat cookies are even better, said Sassy. Let us not complain right now, said Waldo. Everything is going pretty well. We saved Stuart from the evil overlord. What evil overlord exactly? Said Stuart. The information sheet, said Waldo. Oh yeah, said Stuart. The evil overlord. And now our boy is humming, and we'll do a very important educational lecture about squirrels today to his classmates. I bet he's gonna impress Mrs. Dewey. Do you think if he impresses her, she'll give us a cookie? Said Sassy. I sure hope so, said Waldo. Salty sat at their desk while Stuart made sure he had everything ready for his presentation. Did you bring fireworks? Waldo whispered to Sassy. I don't think so, but this trench coat has a lot of pockets. Why? I just want Stuart's presentation to be spectacular, said Waldo. So many presentations were spectacular. Some of them were ludicrous, said Sassy. 2 were boring. Some were entertaining. 1 had an eruption. The volcano didn't erupt like it was supposed to. I was talking about the baby. Oh, right. Anyway, I think fireworks will be spectacular. We'll have to rely on Stuart to make the presentation spectacular all on his own. I guess. But the dogs had to wait. Mrs. Twohay made everyone do math work, reading work, and spelling work before it's time for Stuart to give his presentation. Stuart is smelling more nervous with every passing minute, said Waldo. I know, said Sassy. This is like sitting next to a chihuahua. Not all chihuahuas are nervous, said Waldo. Remember Buster? Was that the tiny dog who used to punch me in the face? Yes! That dog was feisty. Yes! Do you think Stuart is feisty? Maybe! Now you smell nervous. I want Stuart to win! Is it a competition? Will there be a winner? Isn't there always? Mrs. Twohay clapped her hands. Finish up your spelling dioramas and let's get ready to hear our last presentation. Boy, all those hot glue guns you're using sure made it warm in here. I'm gonna open up a window. She slid 3 of the classroom's windows open and nodded at Stuart. Whenever you're ready, go ahead. Stuart brought the information sheet to Mrs. Twohay and handed it to her. He carried his log to the front of the room. He kept the squirrel dog toy in his tote bag. He was going to bring it out at the right moment, and he wanted to create some suspense. Meanwhile, Waldo sensed a movement at the window and smelled a telltale scent wafting through the screen. Sassy sensed it too, her body tense, a low growl starting up in her throat. Waldo stomped on her head to get her to shut up. Hey, she said. Ow! Everything okay, Salty? Said Mrs. Twohay. My stomach is grumbling. I think I need... My stomach is grumbling! I think I need my daily midday meal! Or, yes, I need to go out the doggy door! Pardon? Said Mrs. Twohay. The bathhouse! Said Waldo. I need to go to the room! I'm bathing! But where you can't actually take a bath. The bathroom? I just said that! Are you sure? I'm very sure! Mrs. Twohay gave Salty the hall pass, and the dogs ran out of the room, past the bathroom, out the door. They instinctively broke apart out of their trench coats and ran fast and low, knowing they'd cover more ground as 2 dogs until they made it to the base of a big oak tree circling. There he is, said Waldo. I see him, said Sassy. This squirrel was so totally getting sent to Squirrel Town. Are you ready? Said Waldo. I've never been more ready, said Sassy. Let's do this. The squirrel's going down. The squirrel was, in fact, going up. Further up the tree. The dogs circled at the base of the trunk, growling until Waldo said, "Now!" And then they all began to bark. The squirrel fluffed up his tail at them. I'm gonna jump up on your shoulders, and then we'll be taller, and we can reach him. Waldo climbed onto Sassy, which did make him taller, but he was about 15 feet shorter than the squirrel. Waldo stretched as high as he could. Almost, he said, reaching, gritting his teeth. I've almost got him. Sassy looked up. I don't think you're using the word almost correctly. Waldo shifted. Hey, Stuart is giving his presentation. We're missing it. But the squirrel. I know. I don't know what to do. What's Stuart saying? Shh. Something about squirrels being able to climb up and down trees because of the toes. What else? I think he's showing them how the bark on the tree is easy for squirrel toes to grip. Should we go back in? Let's bark some more, and then we can go back in. And then they went to barking, and the squirrel continued his nonchalant and sinister tail fluffing. The squirrel tauntingly climbed a few feet back down the tree, getting closer, which made the dogs bark even more. Just a minute, they heard Mrs. Tuhey say. I'm going to close these windows so those darn dogs aren't so disruptive. The squirrel said, Mrs. Tuhey closed one window. The squirrel fluffed up his tail and ran up a tree out on a branch. Mrs. Tuhey closed another window. The dogs started jumping up as far as they could up the tree. The squirrel gave one last flourishing fluff, ran down the branch, and leapt, flying through the air, landing on the ledge of the last open window, and the squirrel used his amazing grippy toes and claws to dislodge the screen and jump into the classroom. Holy cats! Said Waldo. Did that just happen? We've got to get back in there. Come on. They quickly reassembled themselves in the trench coat, and then they realized that they were locked out of school. They had to go around to the front door to get buzzed in. Hello, said Dottie. Judy! Hello! It is Salty from Liver, Ohio. We are locked out of this fine school. The door opened. What are you doing out here? Said Dottie. You shouldn't be outside by yourself. Were you running away? I was not running away. I was running forward. Thank you for letting me go inside. I have to go. I have learning to do. You need to fill out this unauthorized outside access form, said Dodie. You sure love your forms here? What? There are not as many forms to fill out in Liver, Ohio. I'll get you a clipboard. But it's not my birthday. What? If it was, I would want a meatball, not a clipboard. But goodbye. I have learning to do. Sassy ran down the hall before Dottie could do anything. Chapter 20. The classroom was in complete chaos. Tests were overturned, a spelling diorama was hanging in the ceiling, and students were running in all directions, screaming, and the squirrel was chattering and leaping from bookshelf to bookshelf. Mrs. Tuhey had a broom and was chasing the squirrel, yelling, "Shoo! Shoo!" Stuart stood up in the front of the classroom, one hand on his tree stump, the other hand on his head. There you are, he said. Where have you been? I was just describing how far squirrels can jump, and this actual real-life squirrel started jumping all over the class. What good news? Said Waldo. How is that good news? Now your presentation will be memorable. This is spectacular, huh? He's right, whispered Sassy from beneath the trench coat. You should keep going. Stuart looked at his classmates who were at the moment huddled in the corner opposite the squirrel. The squirrel was sitting casually on top of a globe. Mrs. Tuhey stood in between the students and the squirrel with her broom, although it was becoming clear she wasn't sure how to sweep the squirrel out of the classroom. As you can see, said Stuart, his voice shaky, squirrels use their tails for balance. By shifting his weight and counterbalancing with his tail, he's able to stand on that thin piece of metal on top of the globe. The squirrel jumped from the globe to the top of Mrs. Tuhey's desk. Stuart screamed a little bit. Okay, great. Did you see how he spread his body wide while he was jumping? Stuart pointed at the squirrel. That's so he can control his speed and direction, like a sail on the ship. Bax moved slowly from the corner, sliding into his chair. You can also see, says Stuart, how strong and powerful his back legs are. He uses those to propel himself off branches, and that's how he's able to jump so far. See how small he is? He can jump so far that it's like if you could jump over a building. A few more students very carefully made their way back to their desks. The squirrel sniffed at Stuart's log stump. Let's see if we can convince him to climb up the simulated tree so he can show us how he can use his articulated ankle joints. Does anyone happen to have an acorn? Sure, I do, said Bax, who dug an acorn out of his pocket and expertly tossed it to Stuart, who placed it on top of the stump. Sure, I do, said Bax, who dug an acorn out of his pocket and expertly tossed it to Stuart, who placed it on top of the stump. The squirrel lifted his nose a bit, sniffing. Oh good, said Stuart. Squirrels have highly developed senses of smell. That's how they find their food. If they can smell if the food is rotten, so they won't even bother climbing up the tree to get it. Or if they can smell it's a good acorn. My acorn's not rotten, said Bax. I know, said Stuart. That was just part of my presentation. You can see that this acorn is very fresh. Stuart looked pointedly at Bax. And there he goes, up the fake tree. Everyone look at his feet, how he grips the bark. Most of the students were sitting in the chairs on the floor in front of Stuart, and they all said, "Ooh," when they all saw how well the squirrel can climb. Now everyone watch. If we're lucky, yes, look at that. He can expand his cheeks to hold nuts and other food so he can carry it to different places. He probably has a store of food for the winter. He'll eat some now and save some for the cold months. Salty was standing off to the side of Mrs. Twohay's desk, proudly watching Stuart and also not wanting to move, since the squirrel would surely smell the dogs. Waldo watched the squirrel, who was shaking his tail a bit more aggressively, rotating his tiny ears and his tail a bit more aggressively, rotating his tiny ears and sniffing the air. He is wanting to leave now, Waldo whispered to Stuart. Stuart nodded. Everyone, said Stuart, improvising, it's time to help the squirrel get back outside. I want you to stand up very carefully and form 2 lines between this desk and that open window. We're going to create a tunnel so he knows how to get out. In squirrel lingo, they call that the magic bridge. Waldo cocked his head at Stuart, who shrugged. The students stood in 2 rows. The squirrel was standing on the log stump now, but was moving more nervously. Don't forget to tell them about Squirrel Town, whispered Waldo. Okay, now everyone hold real still and don't say anything. Stuart picked up the log stump with a squirrel on top of it and started to walk. I am entering the magic bridge. The squirrel shifted and made a loud, chittering noise. This is not going to work, Sassy whispered to Waldo. The magic bridge always works, he whispered back. The magic bridge is something Stuart just made up 30 seconds ago. Sassy watched Stuart moving slowly with the log. One of the students moved back slightly to let Stuart by, and in that moment a beam of sunlight came through the window. Oh no! Sassy, what? Oh no, what? Don't! But as she did, Sassy sneezed. Waldo hunched over and pretended it was his own sneeze. The thing with Sassy sneezing was she always did it 15 times in a row. The other thing was the squirrel knew the difference between a human sneeze and a dog sneeze, even if no one else in the classroom could tell. The squirrel froze for a second. Stuart moved forward, still carrying the log. Yippee! The squirrel yelled, jumping up and bouncing off Stuart's face and onto the other students' heads. Stuart had been partially right. The magic bridge was useful, but mostly so the squirrel could have a line of children's heads to leap across to get to the open window. Once the squirrels started leaping on their heads, it's very hard to stand still and straight in a neat line. Everyone started screaming. The dogs could no longer control their dog instincts and started chasing the squirrel, mostly towards the open window, but also chasing in general. So the squirrel did not go straight out the window as planned. With every movement of the squirrel, the children screamed louder. Mrs. Twohay still had the broom and was doing a very complex martial arts routine, both to scare away the squirrel and reassure the students. Salty chased the squirrel to the books, and when they chased the squirrel to the computers, Waldo took the skeleton's leg bone in his mouth and growled menacingly. Waldo had hoped to threaten the squirrel with one bone, but they had all stayed attached, so he did his best to shake the skeleton back and forth in a frightening manner. Finally, they chased the squirrel from the maps to the math center, to the writing corner, then to the window, banging the skeleton's head 3 times on the windowsill in triumph as the squirrel hollered insults from the tree outside. Mrs. Twohay slammed the window shut, and the students cheered. "Well done, Salty," said Mrs. Twohay. "We know what we are doing," said Waldo. "We know about Square Sound." "Now drop the fibula." "I am telling the truth." "No, the fibula, the name of the bone you're holding." "You really are a great teacher." "You better believe it. You definitely need to stop licking that bone, though." "I'm from Liver, Ohio." "I know, Salty. I know." Waldo dropped the skeleton and Sassy sat down, wondering if there was any way she could take a nap. Chapter 21. The door to the classroom swung open, and Mrs. Brackenfoff, the principal, burst in. "Just what is going on in here?" she said. "I could hear screaming and banging. It sort of sounds like rock and roll shenanigans." "No shenanigans," said Waldo. "Just learning. Miss Twohay, you know Mrs. Twohay, our great teacher." Mrs. Twohay waved from near the windows, still catching her breath. "Mrs. Twohay is the best teacher," Waldo went on. "She knows about the way students learn best is with hands-on learning. We're doing an oral report and a big project, a science experience, all rolled into one today. Plus there was math in there, I think. And gym, definitely some gym mixed in. It was amazing, and so incredibly educational." Mrs. Brackenfoff looked around the room. The children were smiling and nodding. "I learned a lot today," said Bax. "But I learned the most today. I think Mrs. Twohay probably read that article that came out recently in the Educational Teachers magazine that said the students learn best when they are occasionally allowed to scream and run around and bang on stuff and turn to silver," said Waldo. Miss Twohay was next to them now, but was still speechless. She honestly wasn't even sure about what happened. "Oh yeah, I heard about that thing," said Stuart. "It's called primal teaching, or paleo teaching, one of those." "Good one," said Bax, and fist bumped Stuart. "Is that true, Miss Twohay?" asked Mrs. Brackenfoff. "Mostly," said Mrs. Twohay. "We were definitely learning. It was an extremely educational afternoon. You know what they say, you can't make a student smarter without breaking a few desks." "Do they say that?" asked Mrs. Brackenfoff. "They sure do," said Mrs. Twohay. "So everything's fine then," said Miss Brackenfoff. "You bet. Now if you'll excuse us, we have some desks to put back together before the end of the day. Students, let's start putting everything back where it belongs." Everyone started picking up the mess, still laughing and talking about how amazing Stuart's presentation had been. "That was the most fun I've had in school," said Bax. "You really should get that squirrel to come in every day." "Thanks," said Stuart. "You really should thank Salty. I think Salty had to do more with training that squirrel." "Don't thank me," said Waldo. "It was just a thing that happened. It was definitely spectacular. Proves the one thing that we always say in Liver, Ohio. Squirrels are chaos." "And thanks for yesterday," said Stuart to Bax. "I knew you were just doing your presentation, but it was really helpful for you to talk so long because I left my information sheet at home." "I know," said Bax. "I knew you didn't have it." You did?" "Yeah, sure. I could, just tell. Figured I'd take up the rest of the day so you could find it." "Well, it was really nice of you. You saved my hide. Thanks." "No problem.
Least I can do for my best friend.
Your what?
You know.
I don't think I do. I thought you hated me.
Why would you think that?
Because you said you were a bully, and you're always making fun of me.
No! That's my last name! The Bully! Bex the Bully! And sorry about making fun of you. It's just how they do things where I'm from. We let people know we like them by making fun of them. I forget sometimes that some people think that's rude.
Oh.
See? I told you he smelled like a Cocker Spaniel,
said Waldo.
Cocker Spaniel? Well, I don't know about that. I think of myself as more of a Great Dane.
Said Waldo. Hey, I think I got your desk by mistake, Stuart, said Arden. I was cleaning out papers and I found this information sheet with your name on it crumpled up in the back. And this page from a notebook with doodles of dogs on it.
What? No way, said Stuart.
What's this information sheet you gave me if your information sheet is right there? Said Mrs. Tuhey.
Look, Mrs. Tuhey!
I filled out the information sheet too, said Waldo, pulling out the piece of paper with random purple crayon marks on it in one of the trench coat pockets. What is this?
Art?
Miss Breckenfoff was at the door again.
Mrs. Tuhey!
She shouted. Oh, you're back, said Mrs. Tuhey. Interrupting our learning again?
Great news, said Mrs. Breckenfoff. The National Organization of Superior Education has dropped this off.
She held a framed certificate out to Mrs. Tuhey.
The nose! What could they possibly have for me?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, gracious, I have to sit down. Mrs. Tuhey sat in a chair and hugged the certificate.
What is it, Mr. Tuhey?
Asked Waldo. It's the Good Teacher Award. I won. I'm the Good Teacher of the Year.
You are a good teacher, said Waldo. You're a great teacher to have every year.
Do you think so? Said Mrs. Tuhey. I wonder. Well, you showed up right around the time they would start evaluating for this award. I thought you were a spy from the Don Knotts Technology and Arts Learning Academy.
I am not a spy!
But maybe you were one of the nose evaluators?
I am good at smelling!
Are you?
Yes!
Huh?
Right now, you smell like the cottage cheese you had for breakfast. You put sunflower seeds in it today. You don't usually do that.
So you are from Nose.
I have a nose.
A nose membership card, you mean?
Is that a thing humans have? Membership cards for every body part? I've never heard of that before.
The bell rang. Phew, Mrs. Tuhey. What a day. Thanks for helping put the room back together, everyone. You're all amazing students, and see you tomorrow. Oh, Stuart, come here for a moment. Stuart nervously shouldered his backpack and went to Mrs. Tuhey's desk. Great job today, she said. I want to let you know that you're getting an A+ on the big project. I wasn't sure what you were going to do it on, since you really hadn't said anything about it, but I'm very impressed.
Really? Wow, thanks, said Stuart. So he won? He won! You won! said Waldo.
Won what? asked Mrs. Tuhey. Never mind. Come on, let's go, said Stuart, and they walked out of the school with Salty.
Today was a lot of fun, said Waldo.
You know what? It was, said Stuart. I never thought I'd say this, but I really like school now. Thanks to you guys. You're such good dogs.
I really like school too, said Waldo.
But maybe sometimes we will say we're on a research vacation or undercover investigation, or a secret field trip, said Sassy, so we can stay home and nap.
Hey, it's a really nice day, said Stuart, opening up the back gate to let the dogs into the backyard. Let's go run around in the park. And so they did. That night, at dinner, the dogs ate their kibble and then half dozed on the kitchen floor, relaxed and happy knowing they'd saved Stuart from the evil overlord. Stuart told his parents most of the details about the squirrel project. Stuart's mom told a story about running out of printer toner. And then Stuart's dad said,
You know, what's the weirdest thing? I found this old trench coat that I used to wear in college. I haven't seen this thing in ages, but I just found it on the floor by the back door. I'm pretty sure I had it dry cleaned before I put it away in the closet. but it's covered in dirt and grass stains now.
Both dogs stood up. Stuart knew he should say something, but he really wasn't sure. I suppose I should just throw it out, said Stuart's dad. No, said Stuart, Waldo, and Sassy at once, though to Stuart's parents it just sounded like the dogs were barking. I want it, said Stuart. Well, okay then, said Stuart's dad. The dogs lay back down and Stuart covered them with the trench coat, tucking them in like it was a blanket, and they both fell asleep, snoring. The end. Alright, so this was a lot longer than we had planned, but we finally finished the book. And that was a fun read. There was a lot of funny jokes in there. The woolly mammoth coming from a cocoon was a particularly horrifying but funny little snippet in there. But I hope you guys had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed the story as much as I did. I love you all. Have a great night. And I'll see you again in the next video. Tada loves you. Bye-bye.